Welcome to LifeBlood. This is George G, and the time is right. Welcome to today's guest, strong and powerful Justin English. Justin, are you ready to do this?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. Justin is the CEO of Salt Lending, Inc. They are the first cryptocurrency lender in the crypto industry. Justin, excited to have you on. Tell us a little bit about your personal life, some more about your work, and why you do what you do.
Personal life, well, yeah, I mean, I have a family with 4 kids, so they keep me busy and happy. Um, and yeah, I guess about work and why I do what I do. I think, gosh, I don't know. I think I had a midlife crisis, I guess, in my last business. I woke up one day and I realized that I just kind of made stuff that really didn't make anyone's lives better. And so I guess, yeah, aside from working at trying to enjoy my time with my family, I kind of just craved and making some sort of impact, and on other people and lives and I guess society. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. And those are all thoughts that hopefully, well, I don't certainly want everybody to feel like they're not having an impact, but I think it's really, really valuable to be thinking about the impact that we are having, or the impact that we want to be having. So you go from feeling like, yeah, I'm having success and being productive, but I'd like to do more, to starting something that didn't exist. So that's no small feat.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've been a serial entrepreneur. Really, I started 2 businesses in my life. I had a stint in private equity and then in venture capital. So I've always kind of been on that end of things. I guess just in creating. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of just what I've been drawn to.
Got it. Fair enough. And in terms of crypto, when did you become interested in that?
It was actually, it wasn't super early. I was in 2016, and it was kind of still in my last business, and we were we were getting ready to exit, and so I started kind of just getting into angel investing, and then I ended up, kind of forming more formal fund around it. But yeah, I did probably 15 placements there, and yeah, I don't know. It just is fascinating. The technology is fascinating. And so it was just, the kind of what could it do? How could it make an impact? And, there was just, yeah, your mind can run wild with something like this. And so, yeah, we just kept digging in and digging in and digging in and yeah, go down the proverbial rabbit hole, I guess.
Right. And I imagine you probably explored different opportunities and different things that you might be interested in. How did you actually settle on lending? And maybe tell us a little bit about what that really means.
Yeah, so in this world, I was actually, I guess an investor and a customer both. And so I've always wanted to kind of use the products, but Salt. So I wasn't an original founder, but did end up finding myself in the seat, obviously. And I think, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think what spoke to me about this in particular is, it was a good platform that it had an ability to make, I guess maybe just what I said earlier, just to really make an impact on in like the real world, on traditional lives. And so I just kind of saw that running around inside the business when I looked at it and invested in it and, was a customer of it. And so, yeah, there was a lot of potential there. And so, yeah, kind of dug in.
Nice. So tell me about the impact that you're making. Maybe some examples.
Um, I think we're trying to really empower. I guess the goal is to really just hopefully empower the individual to conquer, these, the burden of wealth and the burden of debt and credit. And so I think our Salt's internal goal is to build tools around, yeah, I guess making products that a user doesn't necessarily have to change something about themselves. There's tons of information out there and podcasts and books and whole news networks around trying to teach about investing and wealth, and it's just it's confusing and hard, and it takes discipline and a long-term view perspective. And I think it's unreasonable to probably think that, we're going to release a product, or anyone could, to that required a user or an individual to make that change, make a perspective shift to change who they are or how they behave in the world. And so our goal really underlying is to build something that fits inside their life, that kind of is this, I guess, neutral nudge of sorts that really has that perspective for them, I guess, in a way, where they don't have to change. The product is the one carrying the perspective, and giving them benefit to these tools that are typically only available for the wealthy currently.
Nice. Well, that certainly does make sense. You look around and say, okay, it's hard getting human beings to change. It would be good if they could have the benefits without really having to change behaviors. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not it's not an easy view of the world. We tried to take the anthropological, I guess, look at things where, I think it's just impossible to change people's behaviors through product. It's just, our job as product makers is to integrate with their, the human experience kind of thing.
Nice. Okay. So somebody has an existing portfolio of crypto assets, cryptocurrency, and instead of selling it, they come to you and you make it liquid and lend based on that. How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, that's the underlying thought around the product is, and it really follows that same, kind of wealth management. It just, even in traditional finance, so you have your high net worth clients that have these portfolios, and private banking, and that's there's all of these wealth management tools that where you get lines of credit on it, and it's super cheap capital, and I guess access to investments that others really don't get access to. And so a lot of those types of things we're trying to kind of democratize and give, the vision is to kind of give access to everyone. And that's kind of an underlying fundamental of blockchain in general. And, it's a technology and it's available for everyone. And so we're, using that as, building on top of that, to try and accomplish giving people access to this type of wealth tool and wealth building throughout the future. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question, that there's a lot of, we can take this in a lot of different directions, but yes, the underlying thing is you have wealth and you can use that wealth in the real world, either by spending on it, by compounding, investing over time. But the trick is to not spend it. It's the compound interest that you learned in school. It's just, if you spend it, it's expensive in the future, where you're compounding it over 20, 30 years at a 10% interest rate. The trick is to leave it and let it grow.
Got it. Nice. So somebody comes to you and let's say I have a portfolio of worth 250,000 Bitcoin, $250,000 worth of Bitcoin. And I say, everything you just said sounds good to me. I'd rather leave that there, but how can I use it to spend? How can I invest without actually touching the actual coins?
Right. So there's, I guess, two different ways. One, you have I guess, over history, you have an asset that has been growing over time. And so you want to leave it growing over time. Mm-hmm. And so you would either take a loan out. So we have a term loan product. And whether that is for the purchase of a car or the purchase of, or financing, maybe a down payment for a home. Our newer products are for, I guess, just from a credit card standpoint, is to use that as a credit tool. We issue, fundamentally, issue credit based on the amount of, the 250,000 of worth that you have in your portfolio, other than, your KYC AML, are you a terrorist kind of questioning, we issue credit because you have assets. And that's kind of fundamentally what it comes down to. So we can put a payment rail like a credit card on top of that, where, your available to spend depends on how much wealth you have in the background. And so we can, I guess, kind of give those, like I said earlier, kind of these neutral nudges around being able to responsibly save, where that credit card has its own, the only reason why it would work is if you save, because you get spending, issued on top of those savings. So it's more of a shift in mindset where the product doesn't work if you go into debt, in net debt terms, where you save and then you can kind of spend as your wealth grows, and your, I guess your quality of life in general also that also grows over time as well as your wealth grows.
Got it. Nice. All right, cool. So how does your, I'm not going to find the right term here, but how does your underwriting work versus, and how does that differ from traditional lending, due to the, for lack of a better term, the fluctuations in price or potential fluctuations in price of some of these coins?
So, I mean, I think that's kind of the nuance around the actual product and what we learn just by having users, we, and us obviously as well using the product. So it's more, there is volatility, and we have developed some tools recently. So we have a stabilization product that we released that, I guess essentially acts as a stop loss. It kind of pauses time. If you had that same 250,000 and you had I guess, I don't know, $200,000 loan outstanding, that 250,000, in Bitcoin can obviously drop. We would, at a certain point in time above 200,000 or whatever you've borrowed, we would flip into a stable asset, like any stable coin that's out there. But once we do that, there's kind of this world where you have some time to react to it. The loan's still outstanding. We don't close it out. You can still pay your interest, and you have the choice to either, pay the loan off, or you have the choice to deposit, some more assets, get yourself out of this margin call, and then flip those assets back into a, a more volatile asset that you feel like you want to hold, like Bitcoin or ETH or something of the nature.
Nice. It's fascinating, just the innovations that are taking place and the choices and directions the company are making decisions on. So, what do you, aside from the things we've been talking about, what else as you read the tea leaves and you try to develop new products, what do you see on the horizon?
I mean, I think a lot of, for our own products, it's more, we just released an embedded lending service where we're taking the technology stack and we're, I guess, embedding it in more of that like point of purchase. So when you engage in a car loan, or you engage in, potentially in anything else that you look at, where you're looking at a mortgage, or you're looking at these various things, even, your whole buy now, pay later space, that, we are trying to develop tools for, those service providers that you interact with every day kind of thing. And so we would be there to say, to enable digital assets to be used, just in the real world for all of those different kind of use cases. Our additional kind of, I guess, desire is to really figure out a way to simplify some of these more complex ideas and kind of put them in the hands of the user, where, like we were talking about stabilization, and that it's, a stop loss isn't particularly an overly complicated concept, but it's, and especially in the world of traders, but not everyone's a trader. We're trying to put this in the hands of just people who haven't traded in their entire lives. And so it's the hurdle there is to make that a simplified concept, and to try and develop more of those tools to kind of put the user in control of how they manage their wealth. And so that's really what it comes down to, is taking something that's very complex like crypto and scary and making it as simple as possible, and getting it to the places that people normally interact in everyday life, like a dealership and trying to buy a car, or like buying something online that might cost something more than you have, and you might need a small loan to finance that up front. But yeah, it's something like that, I guess, is kind of what we're looking at.
I love it. That is the trick. So how long does it take you? And it probably depends, to sort of workshop these and focus group them. And there's never going to be a perfect time, right? It's never going to be totally ready. Just got to get it out there in people's hands.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the balance of, just being trying to create something that is of quality. We're still in the early adopter stage. We're trying to get these into people's hands who like to play with it. There is a huge ecosystem of I guess crypto users, and in the whole DeFi space, and there are a lot of people that are playing around and experimenting with these types of things. And so we're trying to take that next step and get it into like this real world, and try and see what it feels like to go have a credit card that's backed by a volatile asset, and you're sitting at dinner and you need to be comfortable and completely 100% secure that when you swipe that card, you're going to have the money available, and that the volatile nature of the assets that you're holding doesn't affect that, being able to pay for dinner.
Love it. Well, Justin, people are ready for that difference making tip. What do you have for them?
I guess I guess I always try to live by the saying of, and my wife says this all to me all the time too, is just, we rise by lifting others. We say it to our kids all the time, and my hope is that others do as well.
Well, I think that is great stuff. That definitely gets it. Come on. Justin, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people learn more about you, and how can they engage with Salt Lending?
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
What are the websites? Best place for people to find you?
Just saltlending.com is a great place. Easy to navigate. There's education stuff on there. You can interact with the product, get on wait lists for new products. Pretty much it. Social is on there. You can kind of branch out into all the social channels. So it's a good place.
Excellent. Well, if you enjoyed as much as I did, show Justin your appreciation and share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Go to saltlending.com and check out all the great resources and stay on top of everything else that's coming out, because I'm confident that more and more things will be coming out all the time. So thanks again, Justin.
Yeah, thanks again. Appreciate it.
And until next time, keep fighting the good fight. We are all in this together.